This competition was hosted by web portal Business for Home. I believe you should listen to the opinion of a very respectable person, a true expert, to figure out how our product really works. Let me read the long list of achievements of this person, an expert. So, doctor, immunologist, the member of the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences, the member of European Academy of Natural Sciences, the chief researcher in immunology and allergy researches, the author of 198 scientific white papers, the holder of 7 patents, and the owner of the award from the Russian Academy of Sciences, and many, many, many others, including the Medal of Paul Harris. So, please welcome Bogdan Gorodisky. My name is Bogdan Gorodisky. I am the immunologist, still practicing, and I'm also the member of Russian Academies of Medical Sciences and Natural Sciences. Today our lecture will be dedicated to biomodulators in APL. And APL is a very significant company, and the subject that we're going to be talking is also equally important for both Russia and international context. We'll be talking about a very important approach, which is preventive, or we so-called preventive medicine. 25 significant researchers globally has put together a set of objectives for medical science in the 21st century. That is, the solution of problems of slow viruses and immune deficit. That is the solution of the problem with preliminary degeneration of the body, and also the problem of stress, and the solution of the problem of the strong electromagnetic fields on the health of human beings. And of course, today, the medical science of the 21st century is facing the important mission to select the individual treatments for people individually. Of course, the most significant point here is the creating of biocomfortable environment for living for every person. And if we take a look at the products of APL, we'll be able to realize that all of the practical products of this company completely cover the tasks that I have just listed.
Regulatory systems that cater for work of our body's immune system, nervous system, and cardiovascular system. The immune system is quite complex. It has many components to it, and it solves two important tasks. Is to protect from any harmful items that enter our body, including allergic toxins whatsoever. And the second function is to protect the internal environment of our human body. This is to fighting the development of the oncological processes, because we always have some oncological cells in our bodies, about 10 million of them. So the immune system is limiting the development, protection from the development of the autoimmune diseases and allergies. At least 3,000 diseases are being dependent and related to the immune system, so this is very important direction in medicine. If we had to look at the whole of the population of Russia and other countries, we'll be able to see that at least 10 or 15% of population, they have inborn or selective deficiency of immune globulin A, which should provide the protection, and it is not providing. So they suffer diseases related to the mucosal tissues, respiratory tract, urinary system. This is very important to understand for all of the issues that we're going to discuss. So when the immune system is starting to suffer, the person becomes very sensitive to the infectious diseases such as respiratory diseases. Talking about grown-ups, so he's the clinical criteria that his immune system is not working is he's falling sick at least 4 times a year. For kids, is 6 and more times getting sick per year. There are other diseases such as sinusitis, bronchitis, and rheumatoid arthritis and other diseases, and it tells us that there are certain problems to the immune system, especially if it has become more acute at least 2 times in years. If there are autoimmune diseases, this is also a sense of the immune deficiency. The ruptures, there are allergy, and as of immune deficiency. Oncological diseases by itself, it's a very tough symbol that the immune system is not coping with the loads of and there's not enough of killer cells providing immune deficit. So that's how our body functions and provides the protection. Unfortunately, today the immune deficiency, this is a clinical characteristics of the breach of immunity. So at least more than 50% of population have certain immune deficiency, which might lead to severe breaches of functioning. It's clear to understand, because today we understand if we provide the vaccination of the immune system is imperfect. Consequently, there won't be a complete immune response. If the person gets sick, so he gets well not after 7 or 10 days, he gets well after 3 or even 4 weeks. So the condition is getting more complex. So hereby we need to understand how seriously the immune system, how important it is for regular functioning of the human body. Just one example I will provide. There is immunocytes, cells, 6 or 7% of them, they are in the blood, and then they go to different parts of the body, in the abdominal tract, lungs, whatsoever, and they turn into the macrophageal cells. If this infection enters the body, then this macrophageal cell captures it and eliminates it, thus providing the significant immune response 50 or even more times. If these cells are not enough, then the immune response will be decreased by 50 or even more times. Though we shall understand how these cells, how important they are inside the body, so that they are everywhere, so that they are present everywhere. The immune system today is facing the factors of the environment, affecting factors in the internal environment of the body. For us to understand well how important the correct nutrition is. The nutrition of the human provides the human complete functioning. For good functioning of the immune system, there's a need of all of the factors such as glucose, amino acids, because the immune cells, they are fed with glucose, enough vitamins, microelements of the selenium is very important. Vitamin A, vitamin C are highly important. In that regard, so the presence of the biologically active substances will provide the good working of the immune system. Today, the modern person faces a significant chemical and other damaging factors when the chemicals enter from the outside environment. They enter the human body. So, like heavy metals such as plutonium, cadmium, mercury, and I shall draw your attention. Cadmium is located in sunflower oil, and we need to understand that not always great consumption of the sunflower oil, it might not lead to good results, because cadmium is a very serious and toxic element. I shall draw your attention to the fact that, well, such substances as dioxins and in the territory of Russia and territory of other countries, such toxins where they are present. They're present in many foodstuff containing fats such as meat, fish, dairy products, oils, cheeses, whatsoever. Dioxins, similar toxicants, they have accumulating effect, and they are accumulated into our bodies, and they lead they stay there in the fat tissues, and they stay there for from 13 to 15 years. If this toxic thing is there, then it will stay for 6 or 13 years. It will stay. So it's very very hard for immune system to work in such a condition. It goes into the brain marrow, where there are stem cells, it goes into the liver, into the most important systems of our systems, including the sections of our brain, including plus the nerve system, where there are loads of fats contained. So various processes, they go down and they get breached. And this problem is called, it's called a chemical AIDS even. So what does it mean? So these substances, they're getting accumulated in our body. It destroys our immune factors, etc. Immune system, it has many components to it. It has more than 100,000 of factors of immune defense. So just imagine the substances that provide for the good working of the system. They won't be, they are unable to provide these functions. So if the virus enters, it goes very well from one cell to the other, because the interferon, which is accumulated and produced by the immune cells, it suffers and the levels go down. A counter cancer factors are also very important. So the substances that protect from cancer, they also decreases. A slow virus infection, I should pay your attention to that as well. Specific infections which are very widely distributed, and they're not only known in diagnostics that we use in the medicine. So 8 types of them. There are even more of them. The papillomaviruses, a very serious situation they provide. I'd like to draw your attention so that all of those factors, they create very severe conditions in the virus getting there developed. The slow viruses are being developed in the body. The acidic content, the acidic balance is getting changed. So when there is an acid environment, this is created by food that we can take, like cheeses, meat, fish, whatsoever. So the urinal milky acids, isovaleria, vinegar acid are also getting accumulated, and accumulation of sour content, acidic content into our body, hence breaching the immune system. And that is the very important result of the very damaging result that we are facing today. Radiation factor of radiation today has a very significant importance, because loads of the regions, there's increased load of such radioactive isotopes such as strontium, cesium, and then severely damaging factor, which is the electromagnetic fields. And first of all, this is cellular networks, mobile networks, which affects the human body if we are using it quite widely. Plus, if the cell phone is close to our head, and the radiation goes to 6 to 8 centimeters into our body and damaging the immune system, which is regulating the immune response, various brain areas, and it breaches the immune system and neural system. So the advanced aging, it starts from the hypothalamus. If the brain it's protected by 4 barriers. So the hypothesis they do not have any barriers, and when there's any medicine is entering or any chemical is entering our body, those 2 are getting damaged. They suffer severely. So injurious effects it happens. We should also mention stress, and we all face stresses, starting from kids down to grandpas and grandmas, and stress is a big problem worldwide. Just one example, when there is a stress in the human body, the hormones, corticoid hormones, these are the hormones that these cortical steroids, they increase sharply, their levels is increased in the body, and they destroy the immune cells. if into the lymphocytes, say we take them separately and add some corticosteroids, and we will be able to see under the microscope how the cells are getting destroyed. The same is happening in the human body, so any stress, irrelevant of matter whatsoever, is either going long distance or emotional stress or other factors, chemical stress. These are all stresses which affect our human body very seriously. So after stress there are diseases appear like diabetes, endocrinal diseases. So the kids that suffer stress, they get sick very often, and their immune system is imperfect. We call it a physiological immune deficiency. When the kid and its immune system is imperfect, there's no immunoglobulin, and it matures up to age of 10 or 12, then the same system is related to pregnant women. When there is a thymus is changed, when there's alpha-fetoprotein is getting generated, and it suppresses the immune system of the mother, and it's a very complex situation. As we say, happy maternity, happy pregnancy, this is very bad for the immune system of the mother, because it has a colossal load on the body. It's suffering various factors of like virus attacks or whatsoever. When there's the thymus is atrophied, the cells are not being produced, and there are not enough of them, and consequently the immune globulin is going down. Consequently, we have those affecting factors. So there's immune disbalance, like secondary immune breaches, the physiological immune disorders for elderly people and pregnant women. These are the risk factors which severely breach the immune system and should have the constant protection. Of course, the use of the direction that we use as immune correction or immune prophylactics is highly important. And even in the Soviet era, the academician Lopukhin have developed, in joint with his colleagues from the academy, the program which was called the immune correction as the method of rehab of autoimmune and malignant diseases. So very serious direction was formed in these years, and we were getting great results when we were using such methods to normalize the operation of the immune system, and we continue working on that, but we use a more serious substances. So we're looking at the APL products, we can see that their products can be used in any directions as a component of treatment. Well, this is not a medical substance, but it will assist the rehab of after any diseases. Dear friends, we are coming to a very good topic, very important topic, which can characterize the products of APL as the products containing a very high quantity of immune modulating substances. So those substances which provide a full functioning of the immune response. Let's have a look at certain components. Take, for instance, the ginger root. It suppresses the viruses, and it creates conditions so that the viruses cannot multiply. You know that the regular flu virus, we were aware of it, they hit the vessels, the surface of the vessels, so they affect, so that the blood plasma is going through the wall of the blood vessel and going onto the other side of the blood vessel. You know, there's a fibrillate inside the plasma, a fibrogen, which falls out in the form of fibrin. So after flu, there's a very serious breaches in the vessels, which form a group of the risks on heart diseases and strokes. So you can see how serious these viruses are. So the ginger extract can protect from that, affecting the immune system in a correct way. I was was testing them separately, and the substances containing ginger, and we can see how seriously it affects all the hypophyses, parts of the brain, and thymuses. So all of the problems related to the breach of circulation of the blood, and the majority of the people today, they have such a problem when there is a breach or circulation disorder of the blood, when there are thrombosis are being formed. Loads of people, maybe even 60 to 70% of population have these problems, and this is highly serious, because it's not only leading to hypoxia and formation of thrombs, especially for elderly people, but this is a problem to the immune system, because the immune factors are going down, and the immune cells are not getting delivered to places where they should be. Pine nuts, cedar pine nuts. It has everything that human requires. This is one of the best products of nutrition in the world, and it's highly undervalued. So after the content of arginine, this amino acid, it provides for many functions of the human body. What is arginine? This is amino acid, which becomes the nitrogen oxide and expanding the blood vessels, hence resolving the problems of hypoxia, removing cardiological problems, cardiovascular problems, and other problems, because the hypoxia is a very serious problem for the immune system as well. I'd like to draw your special attention. Those cedar pine nuts, they have a very fine layer which is containing liptines. These are the substances that have significant multiplication effects for the immune cells. So when consuming the cedar pine nuts, they are very good for improving the immune system. 2, 3, or 4 months I worked as an immunologist in order to improve the immune system. But when using the extracts out of cedar pine nuts, we're able to resolve loads of stuff like that. The APL products, they have containing mainly the essences, extracts from plants. Why it is important? First of all, because it is 100% organic, so they can be easily consumed by our human body. Second aspect, well, as we know, everything that grows vertically, this is the product that affects the electric currents inside our body and charge of the cells. So having the free electrons or charges of the cells, and as you know, the cell, it is charged. Inside it's plus, on the outside it is minus. And that's why it works well, including the immune cell. And it is clear that the presence of the electric charge inside the cell will cater for good and efficient functioning of the cell. So all of the plants, they cater for good electric conductivity and electrical processes in our body. Well, 60% of processes that happen inside our body, they are electric, and this is very important to understand for those people that are dealing with those issues. The specialty of this company is that it utilizes the products which is made of the natural raw resources, high-quality natural raw resources. Very important. Second, to get biologically active substances, and this is very important. There are high-end technologies that are used, which is catering for a good biological availability of the substances and the usage of those extracts. And they're put under the tongue. So these substances, they are put under the tongue. Why is it important? Because they're not going into the aggressive environment of the abdominal tract, and they go directly into the blood, and it's close to the brain. So the important mechanism of operation of those products is how, first of all, it is related to such serious system as a neural and endocrine system, the hypophysis and thymus. It leads to the premature aging of the body, or breaches of the immune system, or hormonal disbalance. So the problems of degeneration must be resolved by this method, which is very simple and very effective. So the drops, consumption of the drops of APL drops, the active substances go directly into the brain, affects all of the parts of the brain, and then the mechanism of their work affects the other organs. It shall be noted that inside the company they have their own production facility where all of the conditions are there when the personnel is prepared. So before the final formulations of drops are made, and this is very important. So it is purposefully that those directions are highly important.
If we take a look at the products, we can see that they contain the important substances like carbicepsis. That is the substance that is specifically known for about 1,200 years, actually. And it's highly complicated. It's both an insect and a plant, because as soon as it gets into soil, it actually connects through the mycelium of the mushrooms, and that piece of mushroom grows and lifts from the surface of earth. Cordyceps grows, and by the summer, the plant goes up through this maggot that's underground. That's why it provides high biological activity. Thanks to that, cordycepsis in China, for example, in Chinese medicine, is known to be as valuable as gold. This is a very serious and significant medical piece of treatment. That's why it is the part of the APL products. It provides immune activity that strongly helps the endocrinological system. It works as an antibiotic. And of course, it helps to regenerate the tissues of the body. And also, it helps to restore the immune system of the body through blood glands, etc. Biofen is a strong antioxidant that is a part of jelly, kiss cells that the company produces. There's no more stronger substance that provides antioxidantal activity, because, of course, free radicals play a very important role in building up diseases. This is one of the strongest antioxidants that blocks radicals, improves blood circulations, has immunomodulating activity, and of course helps to work anti-inflammatory, and has anti-tumor activity. Another herb that should be mentioned is melissa. It seems to be obvious, but actually essential oil of balm improves the condition of the immune system. If we look at the problem of herpetic infections, I should say that the best substance
борьбе с вирусными, с герпетической инфекцией нет. Достаточно несколько дней применения мелиссы, и мы решаем опоясывающий лещай или другие виды герпеса. Это очень серьезно, поскольку мы с вами понимаем, насколько сложна эта тема в медицине, в неврологии и так далее, когда месяцами люди используют самые различные препараты,
You can use anti-inflammatory, anti-pain.
Самое главное, что это
devices, but in terms of solution to the problem, it might not solve the situation. Because the virus that's been integrated into the nervous system, nervous ganglion, and causes inflammation, and therefore some strong pain. If herpes damages sympathetic ganglia over the spinal column, there's not much you can do. But such simple thing as Melissa, as balm, can solve the problem. We've been using Lucerne, clover, Lucerne has immune corrigating activity for anti-cancer treatments also. It contains lots of amino acids. A simple example. It would be enough 2 amino acids, lysine and proline, to quickly restore immune system. And today, these 2 amino acids, lysine and proline, are used as a standard ingredient for anti-cancer treatments. And it's highly efficient. The entire European medicine is based in cancer on this ingredient. These 2 amino acids can help solving the problem. On the one hand, they fortify immune systems, and on the other hand, provide antiviral protection, antimicrobial activity. These 2 amino acids have lots of female estrogen. Why? Why do we need it? We understand that menopause and other situations related to women's health lead to the malfunction of endocrine system, and Lucerne and clover can help that. That also is done by soy. Soy is also important. Selene is another important microelement in many products, and many APL products contain selenium. It's not simply immunostimulator and modulator, no. It affects our epiphysis. It helps to produce melatonin and regulates the activities of pituitary gland. It's a very strong antioxidant. Melatonin is very important, specifically to prevent cancer. There's no other substance in our body that can prevent cancer. And selenium, that's a part of many APL products, contains this substance. So, on the one hand, we actually affect pituitary gland. We improve the condition of immune system. And by the way, that's happening very quickly. It takes literally a few days. And that is why selenium is a substance that quickly can solve problems in your body. Here's the example of Finland. It included selenium in the shape of yeast, and those yeast have been used for 5 years in Finland. And according to the researchers, the number of cardiovascular diseases in Finland within the first 4 years of the use of those yeast decreased by 45%. So here's what you get when you use the products that fortify immune system with the use of selenium. So, if we simply take a closer look at the subject and see how long it took to create these products. For example, in the GROW, GRW, there are over 300 components, over 320 components. It's not that they simply collected the plants in the field. No, they specifically select the plants so that they would harmoniously interact with one another. It took a lot of effort and work, and that allowed to create these products based on a synergy. What does that mean? That means that if we collect the right group of herbs and essences, we'll be able to multiply the strength of the combination, and if we fall into this malfunction way when certain substances contradict and subverse one another, that's called antagonism within one product. The company APL worked a lot to create synergetic effect within its products without avoiding some sort of contradiction between herbs, components, and chemicals within, for example, lozenge drops. Another thing that you should pay attention to, for some reason in the company there are many berries that use currant, blueberry, blackberry, and they all look sort of purple-ish. What does that mean? What is with this purple? We don't really pay attention to that normally, but it is important. If, for example, we take a closer look in terms of physics, then purple color has the shortest wavelength among all of the colors. What does that mean? That means that those electromagnetic waves that are emitted by these plants, these particular berries, have very short wavelength, and they influence not simply our body, not simply our heart and immune systems. They actually make a direct influence on psycho-emotional side of human behavior. And these simple lozenge drops cannot simply improve the condition of immune system, but improve the general psychological condition of people. We know that our health is evaluated not as only physical side, but also physical, psychological, and emotional side of health. That is specifically important to understand today. This sort of complex approach allows us to solve the problems of physical health and the problems of psychological and emotional health, and even certain issues with psychological and spiritual health. But of course, we need to apply spiritual practices for that as well. I was saying in the beginning that human body is under a very strong toxins, under the stress from many toxins today. Different sorts of violations that are happening in human bodies thanks to broken metabolism. Of course, in this situation, the detoxification of the body is very important. Without that, it is impossible to restore endocrine systems and other systems of the body. That is why in our company, we can use different sorts of tools that are specifically tailored to detoxify the body. We need to understand that, because without removing toxins from the body just cannot do today. It's under a tremendous stress. So MLS, ALT, and other lozenge drops provide specifically a lower level of toxins in the body, decreasing the activities of allergic processes. The virus pressure, the bacterial pressure on the body is falling. That's why it's used today. Of course, stress, psychological stress, is a very significant problem. And of course, the company has certain products that specifically help you to deal with stress. Using those products, we can solve the problem of stress without strong pharmaceutical interference. And we can also prevent the gut-dwelling helminths, other allergical expressions. Why? Because biologically active substances in the plants that are ingredients of these lozenge drops are easily absorbed by the body. So there is very low potential for allergies and allergic reactions. Those substances go directly into the bloodstream without causing certain violations in the abdominal systems and other systems of the body. This sort of approach today can be widely used by different groups of populations, specifically if we speak about flus, and we can use this sort of product in the long term during the flu seasons, decreasing the probability of a flu. For example, MLS during a flu season
or MLS or ALT during spring, during the allergic period in spring and in summer. And of course, we can use the products for some strategic applications such as prevention of body degradation. Because we have mentioned already that body degradation, preliminary, non-timely body is directly related to pituitary gland. Specifically, these lozenge drops prevent preliminary degradation, non-timely degradation of the body. Specifically in pituitary gland. Preventing and postponing the menopause for both men and women. So we can use, for example, APL products as a part of anti-age programs, specifically to prevent the degradation of different parts of brain, including hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and pineal gland. Sometimes our body and the systems of our body are much, much older technically than the actual age of our body. I've met children whose biological age corresponded to 60 or even 70 years. Sometimes the blood vessel system might be strongly damaged at the age of 5 or 6 years, even to the condition of atherosclerosis. That is caused by the preliminary non-timely degradation of body, in spite of any young or old age. I should say that all of the APL products today can be widely used for different sorts of populations, different groups of population for a long time without any negative effect or side effects such as allergies. We need to learn and study the immunomodulating activities of APL products. We have been doing corresponding researches, and we can see that we can efficiently deal with certain disorders in the body using APL products. Today, we would even recommend to use the different sorts of schemes and combinations of APL products. For example, we know well that we, by all means, used MLS to remove viruses, microbes, and different sorts of gut-dwelling helminths. With products that improve the hormonal conditions of our body's bloodstream, there's also a group for that. Some products for cardiovascular system, anti-stress, etc. So, the entire set of APL products could be applied to most people in a certain period of the year to prevent risks and improve current condition. On the one hand, normalizing the operations of immune systems and preventing the development of different sorts of disorders. Gut-dwelling helminths, blood vessels, cardiovascular, etc. On the whole, the complex of APL products can prevent the development of up to 3,000 different illnesses. Of course, it's hard to imagine any other complex of products that can do that. Wishing you the longest of life, so that you would live at least 120 years. Our bodies are ready for that. We shall see that in the near future. And it's our mission to prepare our body for that, so there will be nothing that prevents us from living as long as possible.